Hey guys, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here, and today I want to talk about the 2020 election, because I firmly believe that the 2020 election is going to be known eventually as the Wikileaks election. And before we dive into the 2020 election, I'm going to say two different things. One, we have to look at 2016 for examples of this, and two, we're going to do this in the most non-political way out there. I don't care if you love or hate the president or whatever your political beliefs are. I want to deal with the facts on the ground as usual, and let's look at some facts from 2016 to see where we are going in 2020, and I will bring you up to speed on the news I just read earlier this morning. Now, on Friday, October 7th, 2016 at 4:03 p.m., the Washington Post released the Access Hollywood videotape that was very damning to then-candidate Trump. Obviously, his campaign got a lot of blowback by that. I'm sure most of you are aware of that. But were you aware that less than 30 minutes later, in fact 29 minutes later at 4:32 p.m. on the same day, WikiLeaks released the John Podesta email dump, which were basically hacked 6 months earlier. Now, many firms and government intelligence agencies had actually confirmed that the DNC and the DCCC, these are the Democrats here in the United States, basically got hacked by a group known as APT-29, or Advanced Persistent Threat 29, also known as Fancy Bear. They are a wing of Russian military intelligence that basically stole this information 6 months ago. U.S. intelligence agencies confirmed this. Third-party organizations and companies like CrowdStrike confirmed this. Foreign intelligence agencies like the Dutch AIVD, who had been tracking Fancy Bear since about 2014 or so, also confirmed that it was them because they had been on their trail for quite some time. So that is not really in dispute in the cybersecurity world and community. There's a ton of evidence there that literally points to APT-29 Fancy Bear coming out of Russia and hitting the Democrats. And if you look at that, this is how you run a disinformation campaign. You have something that comes out in a legitimate news source that is damning to a candidate, and immediately you spin to say, hey, everybody, don't look at this. Look over here at all of these emails that might be potentially damning to the candidate that is running against then-candidate Trump, which was former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And so that's how you run this. And now we're going to fast forward to today in 2020 to what I just read. Now, you may have heard of Burisma. They are a Ukrainian gas company, and why they have a bit of a claim to fame lately is for two reasons. One, the former Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, his son works at Burisma, so obviously that has been making the news because President Trump on the other side of the aisle has basically been saying, well, why have the Ukrainians hired him? This is a hoax. They have the server. There's been a lot of information that President Trump has been saying regarding Burisma, wants to know more information about this, to see if, the president's son is dealing in anything shady or whatever that is. Now, I say that to say that Fancy Bear, or APT-29, the same Russian intelligence unit that went ahead and dumped the Podesta emails, just hacked Burisma. And a California-based cybersecurity firm known as Area 1 has basically confirmed that it's APT-29. They did it through phishing emails, but what we don't know, or what I have not been able to find, is what information has been exfiltrated out of there. Are we now looking at another Podesta email situation where if former Vice President Joe Biden receives a Democratic nomination to run for the 2020 election against President Trump, will we see a strategic release on WikiLeaks or other platforms like WikiLeaks by Russian intelligence to undermine his position, which obviously would then help bolster the president's claim? And again, don't care what your politics are, but this is the world that we're living in. And these are the things that are happening, and we really have to take note of these things, because I think when you're looking at this, the best disinfectant is sunlight. I mean, I think that we should have information. That said, privacy is privacy. Burisma is a corporation that deserves privacy just like a president does, or a vice president, or you and me. Everybody needs this kind of privacy in their life, and this should be expected. Now, that said, when you are in public eye, in other words, you are running for public office, then you have to have a certain amount of transparency. That said, Vice President's son is not running for any kind of political office. He simply works with Burisma, again, not caring about your politics at all. I don't know anything about the backstory there. I'm simply saying that we are waging a disinformation campaign, or rather a disinformation campaign is being waged on the 2020 election, and we have to see where this is going to go. This is going to be, I think, the tip of the iceberg when we are coming, when we are talking about damning information in an election. And so be prepared for this. In 2020, I am predicting that we are going to see a ton of WikiLeaks dumps that are, I don't know if they're going to be favorable or detract from the president or any other candidate that's running against it. But if I'm looking at this and we have a president that has called for an investigation in Burisma, and suddenly the Russians are hacking this and gathering information and keeping it close to their chest, to me, that is strategy and that is tactic. And so here we are. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to call me an idiot, but I am telling you right now, I think when we look back at this period, 2016, 2018, 2020, and possibly beyond, if we don't curb this, if we don't start educating the public as to understanding that these threats are out there and how to spot them, not to mention fake news, we are going to be running elections out of WikiLeaks. Mark my words on that. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.